It's the time of the year when we have performance reviews. I believe I did well in some areas and I could have done better in other areas. I'm a bit stressed. I'm not sure what my performance evaluation is, what my manager thinks, and most importantly, how my manager will support me.
So, hello everyone. As leaders, we are mutually responsible for our team members' performance. Remember, it's part of our day-to-day job. Whether we're talking here about the normal goal setting and direction clarity to help our employees perform and achieve results, or we're talking about informal coaching or even formal process of coaching known as performance improvement plans. Once we inform the employee that they need to be on a coaching plan or performance improvement plan, we need automatically as leader to understand and acknowledge the mental state that this employee goes into. And again, let's remember, this is because of the wrong perceptions that was associated with those coaching plans over the years. The employee goes into moral downgrade and also anxiety, thinking that they're actually losing their job. So it's our responsibility as leaders to make sure they understand that it's a safe zone for them to get more focused coaching in order to improve, grow, and thrive in the working environment. So I'm dedicating this Flash Talk for the leaders in order to give them tips on how to manage coaching and improvement plans. I will have a completely separate episode for employees on how to actually execute the plans to ensure their success and growth within the organization. So let's start from the very beginning. What is your role as a manager while managing an improvement plan? So, in very simple words, you need to kick it off by removing all previous judgment or bias around this individual, and simply you need to remove the manager hat and you really need to put on the coach hat. You're here in order to provide feedback, listen and advise, and make sure that the person or the individual is getting the maximum from your own experience in coaching context in order for them to execute successfully. As a leader, you're expected to be communicating very clearly to your employee around their strength areas and the gaps. And these gaps are the critical gaps which is really impacting their performance and success within the organization and in their job. The most important thing in order to make this whole performance management journey successful for you as a leader and the employee as well is to really have clear set of goals. You need to make sure that the activities expected for the employee to perform against is clear for both you and the employee. You need to make sure that you've set realistic KPIs with measurable outcomes. And of course, time frames need to be very well defined with the employee to have an overall end-to-end right expectations around this plan. Where many leaders actually fall short is when they set unrealistic KPIs and outcomes. So let me give you some examples. So some of the KPIs could be like you need to achieve X number of certifications by this time, or you need to close the project with CSAT, let's say 9.8 out of 10, or you need to sign X number of deals by this time frame. And accordingly, when you set those goals, you need to be honest to yourself as a leader. Are they really realistic and achievable? So just to give you an example of an unachievable outcome is when you ask your employee or team member to achieve a CSAT of 9.8 out of 10 in 3 months, while you know that the project is closing in 9 months. So definitely he or she will not be able to hit this goal. So always think about it, and once you set those goals, make sure that you have a meeting with your team member, you are reviewing in detail the plan. You need to also listen to their feedback because sometimes there are real constraints that you need to consider and they do have a point, and accordingly finalize it, and afterwards you can kick it off together. Another thing when it comes to those KPIs and outcomes, just again, please make sure that you are setting them as per to the job role and responsibilities for this individual. Don't give a salesperson KPIs that's related to delivery or marketing. Make sure that's really relevant, because again, it's about improving their performance in their job role in order to be able to grow and be successful. So once the plan is agreed with your team member and you kick off the execution, as you progress during the time frame set for that plan, you need to have those weekly checkpoints, and again, you can agree on the frequency. You need to have this very tight alignment and regular advice and coaching for the individual. You need to listen also to their progress very carefully, and sometimes you need to adjust based on different circumstances that can happen while executing this plan. Always remember that you might need to introduce other coach who can help the individual across specific domain of expertise or areas that they need more experts in that area to help them with. Sometimes you need to put them on trainings. It could be related to soft skills or even domain expertise. So there are many other dynamics that you need to consider while you're also providing the coaching to that individual to make sure that they're gaining and maximizing on the plan in terms of improving their skills. While coaching, you also need to remember as a leader to praise your team member if they're executing well against the plan. It really boosts the spirit, make them really motivated, embracing this plan, not just for succeeding and passing the plan, but actually because they're enjoying the journey, they are really learning, and they can see the outcome themselves, which gets them excited against the job and the future as well. As a leader, you might face the situation where you're struggling with your employee while in the beginning or while executing the plan. In this case, you need to make sure that you're aligned with your leadership and HR, because sometimes you need their help and support. Sometimes also while executing, you might realize that this individual can be an amazing fit in another role. So this is where you need to reconsider and get the support also of leadership to put the person where he can really perform better. And sometimes really it could be a deadlock because the person is really reluctant to embrace the plan and to admit the gaps and to really work in a collaborative mode with the manager. And accordingly, again, you need to seek HR help in order to resolve this situation. Another critical thing as a manager that you need to do, and you need to also coach your team member to do in the process, is to document, because it's very important just to make sure that you have everything in writing that you can reference and go back to around all the strength areas, improvement areas, and areas that the person continue growing against. As a conclusion, as a manager, when you're managing improvement plans, you are actually on a mission to make your employees successful. And this will not happen unless you're creating a fear-free environment that's creating lots of motivation for your employee to grow, to be successful, and thrive in the organization.